Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a great start to the week. I am back with you with another read aloud today. But before we get started, I want to show you kind of what our story is going to be about today. What does that look like to you? Waffles. How many people like waffles? We like them here in our house too. These are just plain waffles. Obviously, mostly we just have put some syrup on it, maybe some butter or maybe some powdered sugar. But when we really make them, sometimes we'll throw some blueberries and then have some blueberry waffles or maybe some chocolate chips. There's some chocolate chips in there. Maybe sprinkle a little bit of whipped cream and maybe a side of fruit. So there's so many ways you could have waffles. So think about how you like to have waffles. Maybe you just like them plain or maybe you like them with all kinds of stuff on them. In our story today, we are going to read a story about Annabelle's Awful Waffles by Tracy E. Dills. So think about how could you make an awful waffle. Think about all the foods that you don't like that you could pile onto a waffle and make it awful. Okay, so we're going to see what she does to her waffle in our story here. Annabelle and her brother Andy were very different from each other. What do you think? How do you think they're different based on looking at the picture? Okay. Their clothes were different. Their pets were different. Their rooms were different. But think about what you can tell between the two characters. What could you say about them? And this morning, even the waffles they were having for breakfast were different. Their waffles started out the same. Just plain. I'm tired of plain old, same old, simply boring waffles, said Annabelle. I'm going to make mine really awful. You will be sorry, said Andy. But Annabelle had already gotten started. First, she added cherries to the waffle, which made it just a little awful. But that waffle wasn't awful enough. So she added cheese to the cherries on the waffle, which was getting kind of awful. But that waffle wasn't awful enough yet. So she added spinach to the cheese, to the cherries on the waffle, which was getting pretty awful. But that waffle wasn't awful enough yet. So she added pickles to the spinach, to the cheese, to the cherries on the waffle, which was getting more awful. But that waffle wasn't awful enough yet. So she added popcorn to the pickles, to the spinach, to the cheese, to the cherries on the waffle, which was getting very awful. But that waffle wasn't awful enough yet. So she added apples to the popcorn, to the pickles, to the spinach, to the cheese, to the cherries on the waffle, which was getting really awful. But that waffle wasn't awful enough yet. What else could she add? What else could make this really awful? So she added peas to the apples, to the popcorn, to the pickles, to the spinach, to the cheese, to the cherries on the waffle, which was starting to topple. I told you you'd be sorry, said Andy. And the peas toppled from the waffle, and the apples toppled from the waffle, and the popcorn toppled from the waffle, and the pickles toppled from the waffle, and the spinach toppled from the waffle, and the cheese toppled from the waffle, and the cherries toppled from the waffle. And there stood a plain old, same old, simply boring waffle. Said Annabelle, taking a bite. This plain old, same old, simply boring waffle's not so bad after all. Annabelle and her brother Andy are very different from each other. Their clothes are different. Their pets are different. Their rooms are different. But from now on, their waffles will be exactly the same, plain old, same old, simply boring waffles. And that's not so awful after all. All right, I hope you enjoyed that story. I thought that was kind of funny. It reminded me of our breakfast and our good waffles that we like to eat. So a couple things you can do with this story if you have some time or you want to looking for something to do is you could draw a picture of your most awful waffle and color it and have fun with that. Another activity you could do with this is you could write a recipe on how to make the most awful waffle you could possibly make. Okay, so have fun with that. I hope you enjoyed our story, and I will see you tomorrow for another story. Bye, guys. Have a great day.